Hey everyone, if you're here for the High Hanging Fruit webinar, you are in the right place. This is Tim Shermack. I'm the author of the book High Hanging Fruit, as well as the CEO of Platform Marketing. Just want to let you know, if you're just hopping on here, you are in the right place. If you came here for the High Hanging Fruit webinar and to get your free copy of the book, High Hanging Fruit, you are in the right place. Give us about 30 seconds. We're gonna get some stuff set up on the back end, and we'll get rolling here in about 30 seconds. So again, if you're showing up for the High Hanging Fruit marketing training for realtors, you are in the right place. Stay tuned. We'll get rolling here in about 30 seconds. Thanks, guys. All right, let me hop in into screen share mode here. All right, awesome. So again, if you're here for the High Hanging Fruit webinar, you are in the right place. Everyone who joins us this morning is going to get a copy of the book High Hanging Fruit for free. You don't have to buy anything. There's no strings attached. You don't have to pay for shipping, or there's no like secret, upsell where there's a super duper book that's even more money. Just no strings attached is our way of saying thank you for joining us on this morning's webinar. We're going to give you a free copy of that book. And so I mentioned, my name is Tim Shermack. I'm the author of the book High Hanging Fruit, as well as the CEO founder of Platform Marketing. What we're going to discuss today is what I call this high hanging fruit marketing strategy. Now, of course, you've probably heard the phrase low hanging fruit before, right? Low hanging fruit in our culture is kind of meant to mean anything that's easy to get. It's the easiest next step. All things being equal, low hanging fruit, the fruit on the bottom branches, that's the easiest to pick. And so that's what most people want. If you're a real estate agent, obviously what we consider low hanging fruit are the buyers that are already pre-approved and they're ready to start house hunting, this week, right? Or it's a seller who's already ready to go. They're ready to have you over for a listing appointment, and they're ready to list their house, put a sign in the yard ASAP, right? So all things being equal, low hanging fruit is what agents want. They want leads that are ready to go right now. But rarely, if ever, are all things equal, right? So what we're going to talk about this morning on the training is why I believe high-hanging fruit is actually the best. And I'll explain, of course, what I mean when I say high-hanging fruit. And then I'm going to show you some specific Facebook ad campaigns and lead generation strategies that'll actually show you how to generate high-hanging fruit leads. I really believe that high-hanging fruit is the most powerful marketing strategy in the world if you're an ambitious real estate agent. And the reason I believe that is I've seen it over and over again double, and in some cases even triple, the GCI of realtors that I've worked with that have actually implemented this system. So it's not something that might add a couple deals here and there to your business. I've seen it over and over again double and even triple the GCI of agents. And the reason it works, what we'll dive into here quick, is that the reason it works is that it's pretty much the opposite of what other agents do. If you're following a marketing strategy and you're the only person in your market doing it, because it pretty much is the opposite of what most agents are doing, you're going to be successful because you have no competition, right? That's a kind of that's the root of why this works so well, is because you have no competition, right? So as we dive into this, I just wanted to say right away, I hate when people show up for a webinar, right? And then there's just fluff for the first half hour, right? This is going to be the most actionable, practical webinar you've probably been on in your entire life. I'm going to try to compress 8 hours worth of training that I normally do with teams who hire me for consulting, or with brokerages who hire me for consulting. Essentially, I'm going to try to compress that 8 hours of consulting into an hour-long webinar this morning. So I'll move really, really fast. We'll explain what high-hanging fruit is. We'll talk about why leads are getting more expensive online for realtors. And then I'll show you some of the specific actual Facebook campaigns that are working right now to generate high-hanging fruit style leads. So as we going, let's just dive in. What exactly is, and by the way, if you're just hopping on here, I know we've had a bunch of people join us in the last minute. Yes, Yes, everyone is going to get a free copy of the book High Hanging Fruit. All right, cool. So how I define high hanging fruit is building a lead generation strategy for your real estate business that revolves around intentionally generating leads that are higher up in the sales cycle, right? So high hanging fruit is the leads that are maybe 3 or 4 months out. Maybe they're even 5 months out, right? It's people that are kind of in that like doing research phase. Like they're not quite yet ready to start house hunting, or if it's a listing lead, they're not quite ready to have you over for a listing appointment because they're still a few months away, right? They're kind of like doing research, right? That is when we want to generate the lead, right? We don't want to wait until the moment where they go on Zillow or they go on realtor.com and then they fill out their information and then they get bombarded by dozens of agents, because Zillow or realtor.com sold their contact info, right? And so at that point, it's often too late because that's where all the competition is, right? That's where all the competition is. And so you don't ever want to be put in a situation as a realtor where you're having to compete against 10 other agents, right? Because no matter how good your listing presentation is, no matter how good you are at converting, leads over the phone or by setting appointments, right? If you're competing against 10 other agents, it's going to be very difficult to have a high lead conversion rate. And so high hanging fruit will put you in a position where there is no competition, where you are the only realtor that this person is probably talking to. And so just because of that, even if you don't think you're very good on the phone, you're not good at sales, or you're just not good at converting leads, if you're put into a context where you have no competition, I promise you will convert a higher percentage of leads. That's just one reason I love high hanging fruit is that, yes, it's all about lead generation. And I'm going to show you a bunch of examples of agents who are generating like 200 warm leads every single month using this high hanging fruit system. So it certainly helps in your lead generation if you can get, 200 leads a month. But ultimately, it's actually about upping your lead conversion percentage. Again, by putting you in a situation where you're probably the only real estate agent that the buyer or that the seller is talking to, because we're reaching them earlier in the sales cycle. So, if it's June right now, right, we're in like peak buying and selling season. If it's June, we want to be then generating leads of, buyers and sellers that probably aren't ready to go until August or even September, right? Because if we can get to those buyers and sellers early in the sales cycle when they're kind of in that doing research phase, again, we have no competition. We're probably the only realtor that they're talking to, right? So fundamentally, high hanging fruit is about building a lead generation system that generates leads intentionally that are higher up in the sales cycle. So high hanging fruit versus low hanging fruit, because the higher up in the sales cycle we go, the less competition we have and the higher percentage of those leads we're going to ultimately convert into closings, right? So on the screen here, I have a text message I got from Realtor. And the part I want you to focus on is at the end. So, they got some, got some leads that'll be buyers and sellers. That's all great. But the part that I want you to focus on is at the end. It says, my pipeline is full. Thank you. Ultimately, that is what high hanging fruit is all about. My pipeline is full. It's about building a pipeline of leads so you never have to worry about where your next commission check is going to come from, right? We're constantly generating leads that are maybe 2 or 3 months out, or maybe they're even 4 months out from being actually ready to buy or sell. And we're reaching them and providing value to them early in the sales cycle so we can build a relationship with them. And then when the time comes where they're actually ready, to get pre-approved, they're actually ready to start house hunting, or they're actually ready to have you over for a formal listing appointment, right, and get their house listed. When that time comes, you're going to be the only realtor that they talk to. They're not going to interview other agents because you've already built a relationship with them. Because of this high-hanging fruit marketing philosophy, you reached them early in the sales cycle, right? So you have a monopoly on their mind during that time, right? And high-hanging fruit really is a philosophy, right? It's not a tactic. It's honestly not even really a strategy either. It's kind of at a higher level or a bigger picture level than both tactics and strategies, right? High-hanging fruit is really, fundamentally, high-hanging fruit is a philosophy. It's like a new way of thinking about how you do marketing. So in this webinar, I'm going to show some of the specific Facebook ad strategies that work to generate high-hanging fruit leads, but that's just because that's what works right now, right? Facebook ads, I believe, are the best way to generate leads right now. In our own company, we spend almost $20,000 a month on Facebook ads. And so I put my money where my mouth is. I believe Facebook ads are where you should be investing your marketing budget, but that could change, next month or next year, that could change, right? Just a couple of years ago, it wasn't that long ago that people were all over MySpace, right? And right now, most real estate agents spend their money in one way or another on Google pay-per-click, right? So it's not about tactics, because tactics are short-term, right? But it's not even really about strategy either. High-hanging fruit is a philosophy. It's a new way of thinking about how you do marketing, right? So here's what we're going to talk about in the next hour here. We're talking about more what is high-hanging fruit? What does that mean, right? We're going to cover why I think most internet leads suck today. It used to be good. You used to be able to generate really warm quality leads, off of Google pay-per-click, but that's quickly changing. We're going to talk about why the leads are getting so expensive and how you can cut out the middleman and actually generate your own leads for about $5 a piece or less. I'll show you a bunch of examples of agents that are getting leads actually for $3 a piece using this high-hanging fruit strategy, right? And then I'm going to show you a bunch of case studies, videos of people that have doubled and tripled their business, as well as one at the end who actually even quadrupled his GCI. Because this works. I want you to know that this is not theory. This is not just an idea that I came up with. In the bottom right corner of the screen, you see platform and then the platform logo. I'm the author of High Hanging Fruit, but I'm also the founder of Platform Marketing. So Platform is the company that I actually founded where we manage all the marketing for realtors. And so if you're interested in this high hanging fruit strategy, Platform is the company that you could hire to just manage everything for you, where we set up all your Facebook ads for you. We dial in, we split test all the campaigns, we edit all the videos, we basically do all of it for you, right? So that's why in all these slides, you see the Platform logo in the bottom right corner. High Hanging Fruit is the title of the book that I wrote. The Platform is the name of my company. So in this webinar, you might hear me say like the high hanging fruit strategy or the platform strategy. I use those terms interchangeably and they mean the same thing, right? High hanging fruit is just the title of the book and platform is the name of my company. So in addition to giving everyone, by the way, on this webinar, in addition to giving everyone a free copy of the book, High Hanging Fruit, at the very end, I'm also going to share a $500 marketing investment that I believe can completely change your life as a realtor. This is what all the agents have in common. They all ran this campaign. They all made this investment. So all the videos I'm going to show you, they all use this $500 marketing investment, right? So I will share that with you at the very end of the webinar, kind of as a surprise bonus on top of the free book that we're going to give you. All right. So as I mentioned, I'm trying to compress basically 8 hours of consulting into a 60-minute webinar, because I don't want this to be, a 2-hour webinar or a 3-hour webinar or anything like, crazy like that. So I'm going to try to fly here and cover all of this in about 60 minutes. And so I talk fast, so please take notes. So if you have a pen and paper handy, please take notes. This is a marketing strategy for realtors that actually works. I know that kind of sounds silly, me saying it, because you would assume that it works because I'm doing a webinar about it. But there's so many advertising and marketing strategies and webinars I see for realtors today that they just, at the end of the day, they don't produce results, right? It just doesn't work. Like you try and it doesn't work. I know there's probably a lot of agents on this webinar listening right now that have tried Facebook ads, right? Or they tried direct mail farming, or they tried doing a mega open house, right? And it just didn't really work all that well, right? Well, this is marketing that actually works. So one thing I'm committed to do in this training is showing you actual video examples of agents I know that have been on this same webinar training that you're on right now. I'm going to show you videos of agents that have been on the same webinar training that actually implemented and got results. So here's an example. This is Kim Litke. She's in kind of the suburbs, outer suburbs of Chicago. And here's an example of her talking about how this high-hanging fruit strategy generated warm leads for her who are ready to buy and actually list houses. And they actually recognized her in public because of her high-hanging fruit ads.
Hey, it's Kimberly Litke, and I just wanted to share a quick story with you. I had taken my son for his baseball pictures, and while I was waiting for him, I had 2 people come up to me and say they recognized me from Facebook and needed some help with real estate. One was to list her parents' house for sale, and the other was to help a sister look for a home in the area. So the videos definitely help, and they are working. That retargeting platform doing its job. Thanks again.
Again, so like strangers are coming up to her saying that they recognize her from her Facebook ads, right? And that's what high hanging fruit is all about, is it's bringing people to you that are ready to go, that are kind of in that, doing research phase, but they come to you, right? You don't have to go out and cold call people. So at no point in this webinar am I going to advise you to go cold call people and start, calling expired listings or calling for sale by owners or anything like that, right? That is not what high hanging fruit is about. Fundamentally, high hanging fruit is an inbound lead generation strategy that brings leads to you. It attracts leads to you, so you don't have to cold call anyone, right? That's what this is all about. Most agents using this, by the way, average 200 leads a month. So I want to make that very clear early in this webinar. The agents that actually take action on this get about 200 leads a month, every single month, right? Warm leads that are coming to you, right? And that's not like a best case scenario. So when I say 200 leads a month, I also want to be very, very clear that I'm not cherry picking an example of, oh, one time a realtor got 200 leads a month. That's the actual statistical average, right? So for every client I've worked with who generates only 100 leads a month, we have another one who's getting 300 leads a month, because the actual average is 200 warm leads a month. And in this webinar, I'm going to show you how to do that, right? So again, the book High Hanging Fruit, I wrote this book because I did a bunch of consulting with realtors, and I realized that there was kind of a missing link in the real estate industry. And when I say missing link, what I mean is that a lot of agents get fired up. They go to seminars, they go to, inspirational sales trainings, or they've read a book by like Gary Keller, right? Because Gary has written a bunch of phenomenal books for realtors. The One Thing, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, right? These are all very, very important books, and they're great reads, right? But what happens is agents read a book like this, right? Or maybe they attend like a motivational, sales seminar for agents, and they get on an emotional high, and then they draft really, really aggressive, ambitious goals, but then they don't have the missing link of like, okay, what do I actually have to change? What do I have to change in my marketing or change in my business to generate enough leads to realistically hit that goal, right? Because setting a really ambitious goal is kind of meaningless if you don't actually generate enough leads on a daily basis to actually hit the goal, right? If that's the case, it's not really a goal, it's just a wish, right? So this is a quick video of Jonathan Garrick, and this is just a 30-second video, but it's him talking about how high hanging fruit was kind of the missing link in his business that kind of gave him the tactical, practical next steps of what he would have to do to generate the number of leads every month to actually realistically hit his goals. So here's Jonathan in his own words.
Everybody, it's Jonathan Garrick, real estate agent in Southwest Florida with Keller Williams Realty, and I'm here today to talk to you about the book High Hanging Fruit and the Platform System. And if you've ever read any of the books by Gary Keller, The One Thing or The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, they give you the real big picture thinking on how to come up with a business plan and to grow your real estate business. This is the rocket fuel to that system, to actually how to market your business and yourself effectively. So definitely, if you're interested in this book, pick up a copy, and also contact Platform. It was one of the best business decisions I've ever made.
Cool. So again, that book for Jonathan was kind of the missing link, right? He was all fired up. He had made his business goals. He knew where he wanted his business to go. He knew how much GCI he wanted to create, right? But high hanging fruit was the missing link that showed him what he needed to do to actually generate the number of leads, right? So again, everyone is going to get a free copy of the book on this webinar, no strings attached, right? So again, I said I talk fast, so please grab a pen and paper and take notes if you haven't already. I am trying to compress a lot of material here into the next hour, so please grab a pen and paper. So the first book I wrote actually wasn't high hanging fruit. So the first book I published actually was a book called Main Street Marketing. It was written for just general brick and mortar small business owners, right? So it wasn't written specifically for realtors. It was just for any sort of, Main Street America small business owner, so a dentist, a chiropractor, a coffee shop, a used car dealership, right? A CrossFit gym, like just a stereotypical brick and mortar small business owner. And so I published this book, but what happened was a lot of realtors read it and they started taking action on some of the lead generation strategies that I introduced in this book. And when the realtors took action on it, they generated just a flood of leads, right? And their businesses grew so much that I just had to take notice because I kept getting, texts and emails, of people saying like, hey, I took action on this and I generated 100 leads last month. I've never had more than, a dozen leads in a month, and now I have 100, right? And this kept happening over and over again. Eventually, some of them hired me for some private consulting, and we kind of dove even deeper into making this marketing plan custom for them in their market. And that's when things really took off. So when we did that, when some of them actually hired me for marketing consulting, their businesses actually doubled. A couple of them even tripled their GCI. And so that experience is what actually led me to write the book High Hanging Fruit. That's why I wanted to write an entirely new book that was written specifically for real estate agents. And so High Hanging Fruit is a legit 200-page book. It's not like a 25-page ebook download. It's a legit 200-page book. And it is written specifically for realtors. And it talks about this high hanging fruit idea and then specific lead generation strategies that you can use to actually implement it in your market. So again, everyone is going to get a free copy of that book just for joining us on this webinar. So let's talk about the actual substance of how we get this going, right? Like, what's the practical next step? How do I start implementing this high hanging fruit, marketing idea in my business, right? Well, when I do a consulting day, the first thing I cover is the 2 variables that move your business forward. So like the 2 variables that are responsible for all business growth. It's where to invest your time and where do you invest your money. Now, most agents get this completely backwards, right? Because this is the way they're taught, right? This is the way that from the very first week they got licensed, their broker taught them, hey, invest your time at the top of the funnel and invest your money at the bottom of the funnel, right? That's what most agents are taught. They invest their time at the top of the funnel and their money at the bottom of the funnel. And when I say funnel, what I'm talking about is the traditional real estate sales cycle, right? So, there's that funnel. It's basically like an upside down triangle, right? Where it's widest at the top and it gets narrower as it goes to the bottom. So just imagine that sales cycle, that sales funnel, where you're trying to put leads in at the top and hopefully you convert some at the bottom, right? So it's kind of that upside down funnel looking triangle thing, right? Most agents are taught from the very first week they get their license. They're trained by their broker to think of lead generation as a time-driven activity, right? Where you just have to invest your time to generate leads. And so usually what that means is agents just start cold calling every day. They cold call expired listings. They cold call FSBOs, they like time block 2 hours a day, right? To just call the most recently expired listings and the for sale by owners, right? Maybe they even get the Mojo dialer and they're making hundreds of calls a day, or they're calling their sphere of influence and they're asking for referrals. Hey, do you know anyone who's thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, right? So that's what they do. They invest their time. Sometimes if they're not doing outbound calls, for 2 hours every day, because that's what is often, taught in classes like Bold with Keller Williams, just make a bunch of calls, essentially. You have to make enough contacts and have enough conversations to where you'll set a certain number of appointments. There's ratios at all those levels. And ultimately what it comes down to is if you make enough cold calls, yeah, of course, you will set some appointments, right? It's the law of large numbers. If you make enough calls, you'll set enough appointments. But personally, this is just my opinion. I think that's a really dumb way of growing your business, because if time is the main ingredient that you're using to generate business and generate appointments, time will be the exact constraint that prevents you from getting to the next level, because ultimately you run out of hours in the day, right? And so most agents are taught to invest their time, but maybe it's not cold calling. Maybe it's, they volunteer at their kid's school because they want to be seen as being helpful in the community and being involved, right? Maybe they go out of their way to volunteer at church for the same reasons, right? Or maybe you join like a BNI group and you're just trying to network, or maybe you're really active in your local chamber of commerce, right? Because when someone thinks of real estate in your area, you want them to think of you, right? And so again, what this all comes down to is most agents are taught to invest their time generating leads and generating awareness, right? They invest their time, and then with whatever marketing budget they have, right, they invest that at the bottom of the funnel on low-hanging fruit, right? So whether it's $2,000 a month they have for marketing, or maybe it's $200 a month they have for marketing, they use that at the bottom of the funnel to buy leads, right? And when I even use the phrase buy leads, it's kind of a giveaway that we're talking about low-hanging fruit, because if I use the verb buy, it's almost like a lead is a commodity. Hey, it's just a name, email, and phone number, right? If a lead has gotten to that point in the sales cycle where they've already opted in at Realtor.com or they've already opted in at Zillow or something, right? And they're just a name, email, and a phone number, and a bunch of agents are already trying to call them to earn their business, right? That's really, really difficult to convert those leads, again, because that's where all the competition is, right? And so by definition, if they're at that point, they are low hanging fruit. And so again, most agents invest their time at the top of the funnel, making cold calls, time blocking every day to generate leads, and they invest their money at the bottom of the funnel buying low hanging fruit leads, from big companies like, Realtor.com, Zillow, or maybe Boomtown, Commissions Inc., et cetera, right? But it's all low hanging fruit, right? So I want you to do the opposite. I want you to flip the funnel. To really make high hanging fruit work, we have to do the opposite of what most agents are doing. So we're going to flip the funnel, right? We're going to do the total opposite. We're going to invest our money at the top of the funnel, generating warm leads so that, and this is the important part, so that we only have to follow up with warm leads that our marketing system warmed up for us, right? So I want you to do the opposite of what most agents do. Rather than just investing a bunch of time and cold calling a bunch of strangers every day, I want you to spend whatever money you have, whether it's $2,000 a month, $200 a month, right? Generating warm leads that are high-hanging fruit leads, right? So that you only have to invest your time following up with warm leads. This is really, really important because before I show you the specifics, because I will show you some specific Facebook ads in this webinar that are proven to work to get you those 200 leads a month, right? Before we do that though, we have to free up enough of your time so you actually have the hours in the day available to follow up with all those leads. Because it's kind of pointless to generate 200 leads a month because that's about 6 to 7 leads every single day. It's kind of pointless to generate 6 or 7 leads every day if you don't even have time to follow up with them, or else you're just wasting money, right? Typically, by the way, what we see, the actual average is agents are getting leads for about $3 to $4 a piece. And so actually, let's just say you're in the lower end. Let's just say you only have $200 a month to spend on ads, right? That doesn't sound like a lot, but $200 a month means you should be able to generate somewhere in the neighborhood of probably 50 to 60 warm leads every single month, just with a budget of $200, right? So when you generate high-hanging fruit leads, the leads are really, really cheap. And so it's not really hard to see how you could double your business, or in some cases, I even have examples of agents that have tripled their business using this high-hanging fruit idea because the leads are coming in so cheaply, right? With just a budget of $200 a month, you can get 50, maybe even 60 warm leads every month with just $200, right? And so before we do that, it kind of becomes clear now that before we start generating this, windfall of leads, we have to structurally kind of rearrange your day so that you have more time to follow up with leads. And so the goal is that rather than just time blocking 2 hours every morning and making a bunch of cold calls, you should be able to do all of your lead follow-up in about half hour or maybe 45 minutes at the most, right? And so even if you're generating 200 leads a month, right, you should be able to do all that follow-up in like 45 minutes because you can accomplish more in 45 minutes of following up with actual warm leads than you can in 2 hours or even 3 hours of cold calling total strangers, right? That's what we want to do, is kind of a shift from quantity to quality, right? Rather than not having any leads and then just substituting, oh, I'll just cold call hundreds of people, every day. I want to generate warm leads for you so you don't have to spend 2 or 3 hours every morning, so that you can spend half hour or spend 45 minutes calling warm leads who actually want to hear from you, right? And I mentioned that this is especially an advantage if you have a limited budget because you can generate leads for as cheap as $3 a piece. I actually know some agents who have even gotten leads for $2 a piece, right? I don't want to claim that everyone's going to get leads for $2 a piece, but usually it's about $3 to $4 a piece, right? And so that's a huge advantage, excuse me, especially if you're on a limited budget, right? Because most agents think, oh, I only have $200 a month, or I only have $500 a month. I'll never be able to compete, with the big top agents in my markets that have all the billboards and they have Boomtown or they have Commissions Inc. or they're, you know, spending thousands a month on direct mail or TV ads or whatever, right? You can compete because when the leads are coming in that cheaply, it's a game changer, right? So I especially love this if you think you have a smaller budget. And so the reason I wanted to show you this text is that, yeah, they followed up, they got some pre-approvals, but this is actually a realtor who's 19 years old. His name is Keaton. He's in Wisconsin. And he sent me this text. I just thought it was cool that even he is using this system. He was on this webinar. So he's taking action and he's crushing it. He's 19 years old, right? So if a 19-year-old kid who basically just graduated high school, right? If a 19-year-old kid can do it, you can too, right? So when I do consulting days, what I've often seen is that agents hit a plateau right around 30 transactions a year. And that always confused me because I couldn't see any like intrinsic reason why agents kept hitting kind of a wall when they got to 30 closings a year, right? But the more this happened, and the more consulting clients I had with platform, you know, agents who would hire us to kind of just take over their marketing, the more I realized there was just a very, very clear pattern, right? An agent would get started, maybe in their first year, they would do, you know, 3 or 4 transactions. And at that point, they were just kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel, trying to get, you know, friends and family and their sphere to work with them because they were a new agent. They would basically take any business they could get. Maybe their broker like threw them maybe like a couple of deals just out of pity, you know. But then their second year, they kind of got a swing of things and they did 12 deals, right? And their third year, they did 27 deals or they did 28 deals. But then their fourth year, they only did 32 deals. And their fifth year, they did 33 deals, right? And so basically they were growing, but then right when they hit about 30 transactions a year, they kind of just plateaued and they couldn't bust through to get to that next level. And this was really interesting to me because, you know, I'm observing it from the outside looking in. I'm like, why are so many agents getting stuck right around 30 transactions a year? Like what is it about 30 transactions a year that gets them stuck? Why is there a plateau there? And all of a sudden I realized like, oh, it's just a time issue. They are literally running out of time in the day to follow up with leads. And so when you're doing about 30 transactions a year, you know, you're working hard, right? You're hustling. What got you to 30 transactions a year is just straight up hard work, right? You put in the time, right? Just hustling got you there. Like you were willing to work weekends, obviously. You would take phone calls on nights and weekends. You would sit open houses on weekends. Maybe it wasn't your own listing, but you would sit open houses for other agents just to try to pick up, you know, some buyer leads, right? You would always return phone calls, right? You would go above and beyond. You'd be willing to work on, you know, evenings, right? Answering your phone at 8:30 p.m. at night. Like you just put in the time, right? So if you hustle, you put in the time, you can get to 30 transactions a year. So like essentially getting to 30 is more just about sales and it's about hard work than anything else. Just hustle gets you to about 30 closings a year, right? But to get beyond 30 closings a year, it takes more than hustle. You actually have to build a system because you literally run out of hours in the day, right? I don't even have to ask you if you did, let's say, 32 transactions last year. I already know that you're probably working 50 hours a week, right? You're certainly not a part-time agent if you did 32 closings last year. You're certainly not a part-time agent, right? And so if you want to double your business, let's say you want to get to like 60, right? I want to do 60 closings next year, right? If you're already working 50 hours a week, the answer is not, oh, I guess I'll just start working 100 hours a week, right? Because that's impossible. That would never work. You know, even if you could technically work 100 hours a week, you'd probably only be able to do it for 1 week before you faint because of sleep deprivation, right? Working 100 hours a week is not a viable nor scalable strategy. So if you're at 32 transactions a year and you feel stuck, right, you just can't get to that next level, realize it's just a time issue. You're running out of hours in the day. You're literally running out of hours in the day. Because I mentioned in the earlier slide, if you're cold calling, let's say for an hour or for 2 hours every morning, if you want to double your business from 30 to 60, the answer is not, oh, I'm just going to double the amount of cold calls I make because I need to double my leads, right? It doesn't work like that. When you get to that level, success is not linear, okay? So if you were cold calling for 90 minutes, you know, every day and that got you to 30 transactions a year, we're not going to double it to 3 hours. Like, oh, cool, I'll just double it. I'm going to start cold calling for 3 hours every day, and then that'll get me to, you know, 60 transactions a year. Because you actually have to leave enough time in the day to, you know, be a realtor, right? You can't just spend half your day making cold calls and trying to generate appointments because you have to leave enough time to actually go on those appointments. and go to home inspections, go to listing appointments, go on showings and drive your buyers around town, do negotiations on behalf of your clients, attend closings, doing all the things, scheduling photography, calling the lender back and forth to make sure your buyer is pre-approved. I mean, all these things that go into the day-to-day grind and the hustle of being a realtor. You have to have enough time in the day to be a realtor, right? You can't spend 4 hours every day or 3 hours every day making cold calls if you want to scale your business. And so that's why I said earlier, if time, which is the way that most agents do it, if time is fundamentally how you are generating leads and growing your business, time will be the exact constraint that prevents you from getting to the next level, right? So we need to shift our time from being the main fuel that generates business and actually build a marketing system that generates warm leads for us so that we only have to invest our time following up with warm leads. So rather than, cold calling for 2.5 hours every day, I'd rather you just spend half an hour following up with warm leads. And so you have more time in the day to actually work those leads. That's how you bust through a plateau, right? When you actually generate more leads and you have additional time to work those leads, right? So I'm going to show you a quick video here. This is Brandon. He is a realtor in the suburbs of Denver. And last year alone, he did 40 transactions just from using this high-hanging fruit platform strategy, right? So 40 transactions just from using this high-hanging fruit strategy. And that was on top of all the business he was already doing. So when I say that Brandon did 40 additional transactions, I mean it literally. He did 40 additional closings on top of all the business he already had going. So this is how you bust through a plateau. So Brandon's actually gonna, in this video, he walks you into his office and he shows you his whiteboard, his pipeline of business coming up. You'll see that like the whiteboard doesn't lie, right? The whiteboard doesn't lie. He has a huge high-hanging fruit pipeline of leads that'll be closing in the future because he's constantly generating leads and following up with those leads. He's not just making hours and hours of cold calls every day. So check out this video and realize that high-hanging fruit is what got his business to that point. He busted right through the plateau. At no point did he ever stop at 30 transactions a year. He just broke right through it.
So when I was first introduced to the whole online lead platform system, I was skeptical. Now, a year later, we're closing 40 deals in 2016. This is all due to the online marketing platform. For example, we have our buyers meet us in this building, which gives us instant credibility. Because when you meet somebody on the internet, you never know if they're real or not. So when you come to a building like this, people come in here, they want to work with you, they realize you're real, and then you sign them up as a client. Come with me to the office. For example, we are closing 11 deals in June alone, totaling over $4.5 million. That is an incredible number, and about half of that came directly from the platform system.
And so again, these are the actual numbers, right? This is how many leads and how much business he's closing from using this high-hanging fruit strategy. It's all about generating leads at the top of the sales cycle so you always have a pipeline looking forward. And by the way, Brandon doesn't have a huge team. So these numbers aren't because he has like 10 agents working for him, right? He has one other agent, he has one buyer's agent and an assistant. That's it, right? So it's not like he's doing this level of business because it's being like spread amongst, eight other agents or 10 other agents, right? This is what's possible in your business if you implement this high-hanging fruit philosophy.
Now over here is the stuff you can't fake. This is our pipeline. This is ready buyers who've been pre-approved. They want to go searching, they want to go shopping, and they want to buy a home. 50% of these guys are all coming from our platform system, and it's proven the high-hanging fruit mentality, the system, the platform leads, it really does work, and it's real.
Awesome. So again, just to very quickly review, now that you've seen kind of this work in real life, if you want to get to 30 closings a year, you can do that just with straight up sales, just with hustle, right? Just with putting in the time, just with hard work, you can get to about 30 transactions a year. But if you want to scale beyond that, you want to get to 50 a year or 100 a year. I'll actually show you a video at the very end of the webinar of someone who grew from 25 to 100 closings a year. So in other words, not only did they break through the plateau, they actually quadrupled their GCI. They got to 100 closings a year. It's not about sales. It's not about hard work. It's not about working 100 hours a week, right? It's about building a marketing system that generates leads for you around the clock so that all you have to do is follow up with warm leads, because your marketing system is doing the hard work of actually generating those leads, right? So forget cold calling, forget, anything that you learned about, calling expired listings or calling FSBOs or door knocking or whatever they're teaching now at the Bold class at Keller Williams, right? I say that kind of tongue in cheek because I think Bold is an awesome program for agents to take because it kind of gets you out of your comfort zone. I think that's fantastic. But the unfortunate reality is so many agents think the only way to grow their business is by door knocking or by just making a crap ton of cold calls every morning. And believe me, there are better ways of growing your business than calling strangers, right? So if you want to get beyond that point, let's build a marketing system that actually generates leads for you around the clock, so you only have to follow up with warm leads who actually want to hear from you, right? Because that's why they opted in. So to understand how we do this and how we set up the ads, first we have to understand, why is this even necessary? What's been going on in the online marketing industry over the last couple of years? What has got us to this point, right? I call this the advertising industrial complex, or maybe more accurately, the Google industrial complex. And so let's say that you were advertising on like Zillow like 5 years ago. So let's think back to, let's just say like 2014, right? And you were advertising on Zillow and you were spending $1,000 a month getting leads from Zillow, right? I guarantee you that if you're still spending that same $1,000 a month today, I guarantee you that you're getting fewer leads, right? And so it was only 5 years ago, right? So why are we getting so fewer leads today than we were 5 years ago, but we're spending the same amount of money, right? Leads are just way more expensive now, right? Everyone has noticed that. Leads are more expensive than they were just a couple years ago. But if you were spending the same $1,000 a month 5 years ago, you were getting way more leads back then than $1,000 a month on Zillow gets you today, right? So why is that? Well, it's not inflation. We can't just say, oh, well, that's just inflation, because inflation really only is a relevant explanation if we're talking about a time period where it's like 25 years or 40 years, right? 5 years is not enough time to notice, noticeable price inflation, something like that. So we can't just say, oh, it's inflation, right? So what is it? Why are leads so much more expensive now, right? If we look at the home ownership rate in the US, the average rate of home ownership really hasn't changed in the last 5 years. Like approximately the same number of people in the US per capita are buying houses in 2018 and beyond, right, than were buying houses 5 years ago, right? So that really hasn't changed. Approximately the same number of people are going online and they're searching for homes today as they were 5 years ago. So that really hasn't changed, right? So what's changed? Why are leads so much more expensive now? Well, what's changed is the number of real estate agents that are buying online leads, right? There's kind of been like a great awakening amongst realtors just in the last couple of years that like, hey, like maybe all this print marketing we've been doing for decades isn't really working, right? All the money that I'm spending on billboards, the money I'm spending on local newspaper ads, the money I'm spending on, direct mail, farming, the subdivisions I want to get listings in, right? All the marketing that most agents have been doing for not just the last several years, but decades, just isn't really working anymore. And agents are waking up and realizing, well, if 99% of home buyers are starting their research, they're starting their home search online, that's probably where I should be advertising, right? And so just in the last couple of years, agents have kind of flooded the online marketing industry with ad dollars, right? They've essentially moved their budgets from offline media, like newspapers and direct mail, and they're pouring all that budget into online marketing, right? And so keep in mind, the number of people buying houses and searching for homes online hasn't really changed. So the supply of the leads hasn't really changed, right? Like think back to like junior high economics, right? Probably the very first lesson on the first day of class that your teacher taught was the law of supply and demand, right? It's pretty basic, right? So the supply of leads hasn't really changed because the same number of people are buying homes as they were about 5 years ago. That number has stayed a constant, right? What's changed is the number of ad dollars that realtors are throwing at companies like Zillow and Google, trying to buy those leads, right? And so the demand for those leads, in other words, has gone way up. And so, I mean, again, we learned about this on like the first day of class in economics, supply and demand. If the supply of something stays the same, but demand goes way up, what happens? The price increases, right? If supply stays the same and demand goes way up, the price increases. And so the price of leads online has gone way sky high in the last 5 years just because of basic supply and demand. All the algorithms, with a company like Google, when they're selling AdWords, pay-per-click, it works implicitly on an auction-based system, right? So the more demand there is for a keyword, the higher the cost per click is going to be, right? And so Google has fundamentally, here's what this comes down to, Google has fundamentally gotten more expensive in the last 5 years just because of supply and demand for those keywords. There's way more realtors trying to buy those clicks and buy those leads than there were 5 years ago. That's fundamentally what's causing the problem, right? But I know what you're probably thinking. You're like, hey, but I'm not getting my leads from Google, right? I'm buying my leads from Zillow. So why is Zillow more expensive? Well, have you ever asked yourself, where does Zillow get the leads, right? Zillow is getting them from Google. Zillow is just one step downstream from Google, right? And so that's why Zillow gets more expensive, is because if Zillow's cost for getting those leads goes up because Google is more expensive, then they're going to pass that cost on to you. Zillow's entire business model is essentially they are a middleman for clicks on Google. They get the clicks from Google, and then they sell you those leads at a markup to make a profit, right? They're just a middleman, right? And the same thing is true of all the other marketing companies that you're probably familiar with, right? Boomtown, Commissions Inc., Curator, YLOPO, Real Geeks, right? I mean, all these companies that more or less do the same thing. They, create websites and they sell leads to realtors, right? They're all essentially the same thing. They have the same business model. They're just a middleman for Google leads, right? They get the leads from Google and then they essentially just resell them to you at a markup to make a profit, right? Now, of course, there's not anything morally or ethically wrong with this. That's business, that's capitalism, that's how they make a profit. That's great. But you need to realize that's what it is, right? They're all fishing from the same pond, right? They're all fishing from the same pond. They're just a middleman for clicks on Google. And so if Google gets more expensive, everyone downstream gets more expensive because they're all fishing from the same pond, right? And so rather than fight this, rather than throwing money at it, rather than saying, oh, well, I was spending $1,000 a month on Zillow, but now it's gotten so much more expensive, I need to get more leads. I guess I'll just up my budget to $1,500 a month, right? That doesn't work, because remember I said that Google's algorithm, at a very basic level, it functions like a live auction, right? It's an auction-based algorithm. So if you throw more money at it and you say, hey, I'm going to bid on these same keywords, but rather than $1,000 a month, I'm going to start spending $1,500. What you're essentially doing is sending Google's algorithm a signal that I'm willing to spend $1,500 on this, not $1,000. And so in the short term, you'll get more leads. Yeah, but in the long term, you're actually just permanently bidding up the cost per click for those keywords. And so you're actually making the problem worse because you're permanently making those keywords more expensive by throwing more money at it. It's like trying to put out a fire by dumping gasoline on it, right? It just makes it worse. And so you can't just solve the problem by throwing money at it, right? That'll actually, because of the way Google's algorithm is set up, it'll actually make it worse. And so what do? Right? Because Google is more expensive, all these other websites, Boomtown, Commissions Inc., Zillow, Realtor.com, all these other websites, they're just a middleman for Google. They're more expensive too, right? Because they're just passing on the cost to you. So what do? Well, I want to play a different game entirely, right? I don't want to play the same game that they're playing where that's where all the competition is. I want to implement a high-hanging fruit strategy, not low-hanging fruit, right? Boomtown, Commissions Inc., Zillow, I mean, all these companies are the epitome of low-hanging fruit. Like low-hanging fruit is what they sell, right? Low-hanging fruit leads. And so I want to build a high-hanging fruit marketing system. So what I'm going to do is just exit the Google industrial complex entirely and build my own system using high-hanging fruit leads. And I think today the best way of doing that is Facebook ads, not Google, right? Facebook is the wild, wild west of online advertising. Facebook is where Google was like 5 to 7 years ago, right? So Facebook is still a very, very fresh pond to fish from, right? It's not overly polluted. There's not tons of realtors buying Facebook ads like there are Google, right? Facebook is the wild, wild west of the internet right now from a marketing perspective, right? And so rather than compete with all the other agents fighting over the low-hanging fruit, I want to build my own high-hanging fruit lead generation system. I believe that Facebook is the best way of doing that. Facebook is the reason that I have so many clients of platform that are getting leads for like $3 a piece, and sometimes $4 a piece, right? Because Facebook is just cheaper. The cost per click is cheaper. We're still seeing people getting clicks on Facebook for 30 cents, 40 cents, 50 cents a piece, right? Where Google, you're not getting clicks for 50 cents a piece. Your clicks are probably $5 a piece, right? And so Facebook is just fundamentally a cheaper way of generating leads. And it works perfectly in the context of this high-hanging fruit idea, because if someone's still 2 or 3 or 4 months away, right, they're not yet at the point where they're necessarily going to search on Realtor.com or Zillow and give all their contact information. They're kind of just casually doing research. And when they log on social media every day, they didn't necessarily log on with the intent of doing research to buy homes. They're just casually surfing. So if we can place an ad targeted at these people that hits them at the right spot, the right time, early in the sales cycle, when they're kind of, again, just doing research, right? We can generate leads really, really cheaply because there's no competition at that point in the sales cycle. No other realtors are doing this. And so if you place leads that hit the people at that right time when they're just doing research, you have no competition. And so it's automatically a buyer's market for leads because you're the only buyer. And obviously that means the leads can get really, really cheap, right? And so, as I said, this is the opposite of what most agents are doing. Most agents, rather than high-hanging fruit leads, what they're doing is they're just buying leads, from Boomtown or from Commissions Inc. or Real Geeks or all the other various websites that basically sell leads to realtors, right? And so the way that 99% of agents out there honestly generate leads is IDX websites, right? They get an IDX website, from like Boomtown, let's say, and they get clicks from Google, and they drive people to their IDX website where you can search for homes, you can look up homes. But what happens is someone goes to the website, they look at a couple homes, and then boom, they get a pop-up, right? And that pop-up says, hey, to continue searching for homes, you have to create an account, right? Or you have to register. And it asks them to input, their name, email, phone number. And no one does that, right? No one does that. Or I've seen it where after there's actually a timer that's written into the code of the website where once it detects that someone's been on your website for 30 seconds or for 45 seconds, then boom, they get a pop-up, right? And again, it asks them, hey, to continue searching for homes, you must create an account, you must register, right? And that's really, really annoying. It doesn't actually provide value to the person seeing that pop-up, right? You're basically holding them hostage. You're not making a fair trade. It's not a fair exchange. You're just holding them hostage saying, hey, if you don't give me all your contact information, you can't look at any more homes, right? That's not a very effective way of generating leads. And the math bears this out. Did you know the average IDX website, again, so what, whether you're using it through, Playster, Commissions Inc., Boomtown, whatever, they're pretty much all the same, right? Just a standard IDX website. The average conversion rate on those is like 3%. And so that means that 97% of the visitors to your website are not registering, they're not giving you their contact information. In other words, 97% of those leads are being wasted because only 3% are actually giving you their contact information when that pop-up comes up, asking them to register. What's worse is that of that 3%, probably half of those are fake leads anyways. It's almost an epidemic right now in the real estate industry that agents complaining about getting fake leads, right? Fake contact information. Like people are filling out your lead gen form, but they're putting a fake name. Or they're putting a fake email address. Or they're putting a fake phone number, or all of the above, right? And so it's kind of like an epidemic almost in the real estate industry of fake leads. And so it's really not even a 3% conversion rate. It's probably more like a 2% conversion rate, right? Because so many of those leads are just fake. It's fake contact info. So why do you think that is? Can you really blame people for giving fake contact info? Like they didn't go to your website wanting to give you all their contact information. They just wanted to innocently search for some homes, right? And so it really shouldn't surprise us that they're giving fake contact information, right? And what's more, like consumers are smarter now. If they go to your website and they realize they have to register and create an account just to search at homes, they're not dumb. They know they can do that for free on Zillow or for free at Realtor.com, right? So why would they register and give you all that information, knowing you'll probably call and follow up if they don't want you to, right? So these strategies typically convert at like 3%. That's just not a very good way to spend your marketing budget on something that only converts 3% of the visitors. So in other words, you're just wasting 97% of your advertising dollars, right? Instead, we want to build lead gen ads that actually offer value, that actually offer a fair trade, where someone is more than happy to give us their name and their contact information because we're offering them something valuable in return, right? It's like a fair trade, right? So just ask yourself, why are you on the webinar this morning? Like, you showed up and joined us on this webinar and you're listening to me teach right now because I offered you a free copy of the book High Hanging Fruit, right? You know, everyone who joins us on this webinar is going to get that free book, right? And so that's the real reason you're on here. I'm not stupid, right? I know that. I know the actual reason you showed up. You saw the Facebook ad and you thought to yourself, like, well, I don't really want to give them, you know, my name, email, phone number, but I guess if I get a free book, that's a fair trade, right? And so you probably, you know, thought about it, but you're like, all right, whatever, you know, I'll sign up because I want the free book, right? So that's the real reason you're on the webinar, right? It's because we actually offered you something of value, right? It was a fair trade, a free book in exchange for your contact information, right? And just some inside baseball, we spent, I think, about $1,000 on this webinar, and we were promoting it to realtors all across the country, and that $1,000 got us about 200 total people who signed up for the webinar. So our cost per lead, targeting the entire United States of America, you know, targeting realtors, obviously, was about $5. We spent $1,000, got about 200 leads. So the cost per lead is about $5. If we can get a $5 cost per lead, you know, targeting agents all across the country, I promise you, you can get cheaper leads if you're only targeting your market, right? Like your 10-mile radius, you know, the actual area that you want to be buying, helping people buy and sell homes, right? Like your leads are not going to be $5. They'll probably be $4 or even $3 per lead, right? And so what makes this work, though, is at a philosophical level. Like fundamentally, we have to actually offer value in our ads. Most agents' ads don't offer any value, right? It's just a picture of them smiling, you know, has some cheesy slogan, right? It has their broker's logo on there for compliance reasons, or if you're a loan officer, you know, it has your license number on there for compliance reasons. And there's really no offer. It just says like, hey, click here or call me, you know, when you're ready to start house hunting, right? There's not really any sort of call to action. You're not offering anything in exchange for their contact information. You're kind of just like promoting who you are and reminding people that you exist. Right? That's the extent of most advertising. And then we act surprised when it doesn't work and doesn't generate leads, right? We're not offering any value though. Again, why are you on this webinar? It's because we offered you a free book. So what can you offer in your market to get people to willingly, happily, voluntarily give you their contact information? Because that's what it all comes down to, is you can generate more leads than you could possibly handle if you provide value, right? If you provide value and if you give something that's so valuable that people will willingly give you their contact information, right? So if you're taking notes, please write this down. Lead generation is as simple as trading something of value in exchange for someone's contact information. Lead generation is as simple as trading something of value in exchange for someone's contact information, right? The key word there is trading. It has to be like a fair trade, like a baseball card trade. Like when you were kids, if you had like a Babe Ruth like rookie card, right? You wouldn't just trade that away for some random player. They better bring a bunch of really, really good cards if you were going to trade away a Babe Ruth rookie card, right? So it has to be fundamentally a fair trade. And the honest truth is that most agents aren't offering anything in their ads that are worth signing up for, right? If you're asking people to click on your ad and give you their name, email, and phone number, what are you offering them in return for that? Like, is it a fair trade? Like, would you click on that ad and give your contact information? Right? If you were the buyer or the seller, the answer is probably not, right? And so the Facebook ads I'm going to show you here are actual platform ads that are working right now to generate leads, right? And so it's the Pool Homes Report and the Acreage Homes Report. These are the two ads I want to tell you about that are working, again, right now to generate hundreds of leads a month. We've spent well over $100,000 on these ads on Facebook. And so I know that they work, right? It's not just theory. It's not just something that I think it works or I hope it works. Like these are ads that are working right now for our clients all across the country, right? Because remember I said High Hanging Fruit is the title of the book, but the actual company I have is called Platform. Platform is a marketing agency that if you're a realtor, you can just hire us and we will manage all your marketing for you, right? So if you don't want to learn how to do Facebook ads, you don't want to learn how to do all that stuff, we'll just do it all for you, right? And so the ads I'm going to show you here, these are ads that Platform is running right now for realtors who actually hire us, right? So these are the actual ads that we set up for people that are working right now. And most of these ads will get leads for about $3 a piece, right? So just so you know that. So the first ad I want to tell you about that works really, really well to generate leads, again, not just buyer leads, actual seller leads too, is what I call the Pool Homes Report. And so it's a Facebook ad that we run that's offering a free list of homes that have pools, right, in exchange for someone's contact information. So let's say you're in like Fort Myers, Florida, right? Like sunny Fort Myers, lots of pool homes in Fort Myers, right? You would create a Facebook ad that says, attention Fort Myers, right? I've created a free report of all the homes for sale here that have a pool. To view the homes, go to www.fortmyerspoolhomesreport.com, right? And then the Facebook ad is just a picture of a home with a pool, right? And then it takes them to this landing page, www.fortmyerspoolhomesreport.com, takes them to a landing page where we ask them to give us their contact information, and then we'll send them the free report of all the homes for sale, in Fort Myers that have a pool, right? And remember I said the old school like IDX websites that most agents are still using, whether it's with Sync or Boomtown or Placer or whatever, those typically convert at like 3%, right? Just to give you an idea of what most agents do, those IDX websites convert about 3%. This landing page we'll build for like the Pool Homes Report converts on average like 25%, right? So it's about 10 times higher than the average real estate website in terms of the conversion rate, right? So these leads are really, really warm, and it's literally a 10 times higher conversion rate, right? And so we set up this Facebook ad, and how we target the ad for the Pool Homes Report is we're targeting people over the age of 30 that are homeowners, right? Or sometimes rather than targeting homeowners, we'll target people that are married, or we'll target people who have a college degree, right? And the reason we do this, people that are 30 years old or older, that are homeowners, they're either married or they have a college degree. The reason we target it this way is because this Pool Homes Report Facebook ad is secretly about getting listing leads, right? Because what we know, from the outside looking in, it looks like a buyer ad, right? It looks like a way that a realtor is trying to generate buyer leads of people who want pool homes, right? But that's just what it looks like on the surface. What's actually going on is we know that like 99% of people who want to buy a home with a pool, they're probably not a first-time home buyer, right? It's probably someone who already owns a house and they're ready to move up. They're ready to upgrade, right? They're going to sell their old house and they're going to move up into a bigger, nicer, more luxurious home with a pool, right? It's very, very rare in pretty much any market in the United States where someone buys a big, expensive home with a pool as their very first home, right? As like a first-time home buyer. And so what we know in running this ad is that even though it doesn't look like a seller ad, like it doesn't look like one of those listing ads where it's like, hey, click here to find out how much your home is worth, right? And then they enter their address like, the old school way that agents used to generate listing leads, right? It doesn't look like that. It looks just a normal buyer ad, right? But what we know is that almost all the leads opting in are sellers. They're homeowners, right? And they're move-up buyers. And so, yes, we'll get to represent them on the buy side of buying a bigger, nicer, more expensive home with a pool. But to get into that house, they'll have to sell their existing home because they're a move-up buyer. And so you as the agent are getting a seller lead and a move-up buyer lead, right? And so that's why I love this Pool Homes Report, because the hidden psychology that makes it work, right? You're getting actual listing leads from this Facebook ad. And those leads average about $3 a piece. This is one of the most common ads we run a platform when agents hire us to manage their marketing, because it just works over and over and over again. I love the Pool Homes Report ad, again, because you're not just getting buyers, you're getting actual listing leads from it. But here's the catch. If you're in an area of the country that doesn't have a lot of pool homes, right? Maybe you're in like rural Montana, or you're in northern Minnesota, right? Or you're in like Fargo, North Dakota, right? You're somewhere where, hey, there's not a lot of pool homes, here. What can I run to generate leads, right? What we would run for you that most commonly works is what I call the Acreage Homes Report, right? And it uses the same psychology as the Pool Homes Report, but instead of offering people a free list of homes that are for sale that have a pool, we're offering a free list of homes for sale that have acreage, right? But it works the same way, because we know that anyone who's wanting to buy a home with acreage, they're probably not a first-time home buyer, right? It's an existing homeowner who's moving up to a bigger, nicer property with some acreage, right? So you're going to get a listing lead out of it as well as the buyer lead, because it's a move-up buyer, right? And so the Acreage Homes Report follows the same psychology, where the Facebook ad would say, like, attention Fargo, I've created a custom list of homes for sale here in the Fargo area that have acreage. To view the homes, go to www.fargoacreagehomesreport.com, right? And the photo we use for the Facebook ad is just a picture of a home that looks like it's on some acreage, right? And again, we target people over the age of 30 that are homeowners or married or have a college degree, right? Because those are all really, really great proxy metrics in the Facebook ad targeting that ensure that we're actually targeting listing leads, that we're going to get some seller leads out of this ad, right? And so same thing, the Acreage Homes Report typically gets leads for about $3 a piece. So if you spend $100 on the Pool Homes Report ad or $100 on the Acreage Homes Report, you're probably going to get somewhere between 30, maybe even 40 leads. All right, so just imagine how quickly you could grow your business if every $100 you spent on advertising created 30 leads, right? That's how we're doubling people's businesses. That's how in some cases we've even tripled people's UCI, is that every $100 that are spent is bringing in over 30 leads, right? It's pretty easy to grow your business when you have that volume of leads coming in. So I love the Pool Homes Report ad. I love the Acreage Homes Report ad because, again, not only are they bringing in buyer leads, they're bringing in seller leads too. And so unfortunately, I'm out of time here. I don't really have more time to talk about more ads. So what I've done is I've created a free PDF you can download that'll have 5 more examples of specific Facebook ad campaigns that we use at Platform that are working right now to generate leads, right? So if you want to grab that, it's a free download. I'm not going to charge you anything for it. Just go to www.platformmarketingpdf.com. I'll give you a couple seconds to go grab that. www.platformmarketingpdf.com. You can see 5 more examples of lead gen ads that are working right now on Facebook. Cool. So the real reason I have the slide on here is because I just want to prove to you that that if you offer something of value, people will sign up and they'll be happy to give you contact information. I'm already getting pings and alerts on my phone that people are going to platformmarketingpdf.com and they're signing up and downloading it, right? Because I ask you for your name and email, right? But you probably already kind of realize that, like, hey, if you're on this webinar, I don't need to ask you for your name and email over again because I already have it, right? If you're listening to me right now, I already have your name and email. So why did I have you go there and sign up again? Well, honestly, I have this slide in here because I just want to prove to you that if you actually create some sort of content, you know, like an Acreage Homes Report, a Pool Homes Report, or in this example, I've created a free PDF download that gives you more ideas for Facebook ads that are working right now, that actually work to generate leads. You know, if I offer you that, you're happy to give me, you know, your name and your email and all that information, right? You're happy to trade your contact information in exchange for something valuable, right? It's a fair trade. And so I've seen a lot of agents say, oh, Facebook ads don't work, or Facebook marketing doesn't work, or I tried this and, you know, it didn't work, right? And they think that there's just a shortage of people out there that are willing to click and sign up on Facebook ads, right? That's just not true. There's not a shortage of people out there of, you know, a shortage of buyers and sellers that are willing to give you their contact information. There's a shortage out there of buyers and sellers that are willing to trade their contact information for crappy ads, right? There's a shortage. There's a shortage out there. Actually, I should say there's a shortage of realtors that are willing to put any creativity into their ads and create ads that are worth signing up for, right? That's probably the best way I can put it. There's a shortage of realtors putting any creativity into their ads and building ads that are worth signing up for, right? So again, I just want to repeat this over and over and over again. If you build lead generation campaigns that are creative enough to where it's a fair trade, where people are happy to give you their name and email, they will, and you'll generate hundreds of leads. That's what I built the Platform business on, is we've built a bunch of proven lead gen ads that I know generate buyer and seller leads for realtors, right? Our ads work over and over and over, and that's the entire business of Platform. You know, if that weren't true, I wouldn't have a business. And by the way, Platform has over 20 full-time employees, and so it's not just me and an assistant, right? We're a nationwide company that manages ads for realtors. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, oh, like that sounds great, I want to get 200 leads a month, but I don't necessarily want to learn advanced Facebook ads. I don't know how to do any of that. You can just hire Platform and we'll do it all for you, right? And we wouldn't even have a business if this weren't true, because this is what we do day in and day out for clients, right? So the last video that I want to show you here is This is Brandon Reagan. He's talking about how he uses high-hanging fruit strategy to generate listing leads, right? And so one of the other reasons, as I wrap up this webinar, one of the other reasons I love high-hanging fruit is that because you're not just cold calling people, you're not annoying people, right? You're not just making 200 dials a day to expired listings, to for sale by owners and all that. You actually can build a relationship with your leads. And what that leads to is more repeat business in the long term and more referrals, right? So yes, you're going to generate a bunch of leads in the short term, but it also means in the long term, you're getting more business because you actually get to know a lot of these leads. If you get to them earlier in the sales cycle, right, when they're high-hanging fruit, you can build more of a relationship. Again, the higher up the sales cycle you go, the higher hanging the fruit is, the higher your conversion rate is going to be because you actually build a relationship with the leads.
16, my team's going to do over 40 lead gen deals. It's not just all about the leads. We're walking up to a listing I have where the owner saw me in a retargeting campaign through a market update video, and now I've got a $450,000 listing. This whole high-hanging fruit marketing campaign strategy, it really works.
So again, the higher hanging your fruit is, and this is an actual listing Brandon got, the higher hanging the fruit is, the higher your conversion rate will be on those leads because you can actually build a relationship with people, right? So I'm going to skip ahead to the end of the webinar, guys, because I want to give you the slide where you can get a free copy of the book High Hanging Fruit, right? But just realize that if you do this right, you generate way more leads, and you actually free up your time so you can spend maybe just half hour a day or 45 minutes a day following up with leads rather than, spending 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day cold calling. It's because of quality over quantity, right? The only way realistically that you can even handle 200 leads a month, again, which is the average of our platform realtors, the only way you can handle that is if it's quality over quantity, right? You're only following up with the warm leads because the marketing system is actually warming them up for you, right? So here's the last slide I have on here. It's called fishing upstream. I just want to explain this metaphor, and then after this, I'm going to show you a 10-second video, and it literally is a 10-second video. And then I'm going to show you how to get a free copy of the book, High Hanging Fruit. All right, so we'll get to that in about 2 minutes. I'll give you a free copy of the book, High Hanging Fruit. I'll give you the instructions on how to get it for free. And then after that, I have an additional bonus. On top of the free book, I actually want to extend to you a trial month of platform marketing if you're interested. So if you are watching this webinar and you think, hey, this sounds really interesting, I want to get 200 leads a month, but I'm really, really busy, right? I don't have time to learn the advanced Facebook ad strategies. I don't want to be spending my time setting up lead generation campaigns and landing pages and retargeting campaigns and all that, right? If you want to just have us do it all for you, that's what we do. So we will set up everything for you. And in addition to giving you a free copy of the book High Hanging Fruit on this webinar, in addition to that, I'm going to give you another bonus. We're going to offer you a trial month of platform where we will do all your marketing for you in that trial month. We will set up all the ads. We will set up all the lead generation campaigns. Platform even edits all of your videos for you. So it's like having a full-blown marketing department. So we do everything for you. So at the very end, I'll give you a trial month, and I'll show you how to sign up for that in a second. But right now, here's the last slide of this webinar. And this is kind of like the closing metaphor that kind of like ties it all together, right? It's called fishing upstream. So what high hanging fruit is all about. Imagine that you're fishing in a river with some friends. You all have your lines cast and you're kind of just socializing, having a good time. And you're all standing a couple feet away from each other. You have your lines cast in. What you quickly realize is that if you're all standing that close, you're all fishing in the same area, right? It's a zero-sum game. Any fish that you catch, your other friend can't catch. Any fish that they catch, you can't catch that fish, right? So for you to win, someone else has to lose, right? It's a zero-sum game because you're all fishing in the same area. But what would happen if you walked 100 feet upstream and you cast your line in there, right? If you just walked up 100 feet upstream, you would catch all the fish before they got down to where everyone else was fishing, right? That's what high hanging fruit is all about. You're intercepting all the fish higher up in the sales cycle before they get to the point where they would go on Realtor.com or go on Zillow and then sign up and get bombarded with calls from dozens of agents, right? We want to generate leads when they're high-hanging fruit at the top of the tree, right? When all the other agents are fighting over the fruit on the bottom branches, we're going to bring a ladder and and we're going to climb above all the commotion, and we're going to pick the fruit at the top of the tree where we have no competition because we're the only agent that brought a ladder, right? We're going to intercept all the leads higher in the sales cycle before they start talking with other agents, right? There's no competition up there. And because there's no competition at the top of the tree for the high-hanging fruit, we have a way higher conversion rate on the leads that we generate, again, because we're the only agent that they're talking to, right? So here's a 10-second video I want to show you. It's just another example of someone who did this. And they've already booked more GCI for 2018 than they did in all of 2017 because of this high-hanging fruit platform strategy. So this literally is a 10-second video, and then after this, I'm going to share with you the instructions on how to get a free copy of the book, High-Hanging Fruit.
I have a pipeline in 2018 that is as large as everything that I closed in 2017. What else can you say?
So that is Tom Douglas. He's a realtor in Birmingham, Alabama. And again, because he took action on this high-hanging fruit platform idea, right, he's going to do more GCI this year than everything he did in 2017, right? And it's because of the platform strategy. So if you want to get a free copy of the book, High-Hanging Fruit, thank you for joining us on this webinar, right? Just go to www.highhangingfruitbook.com. So I know that that's the reason a lot of people showed up here, is because you wanted a free copy of that book. So to get the free book, go to www.highhangingfruitbook.com. It's not highhangingfruit.com, just to be clear. It's www.highhangingfruitbook.com, right? And so I know that that's the reason that a lot of people joined us on the webinar, but I have another bonus for you, one that's even more interesting. So get the free book, but a bonus that's even more interesting is I want to offer you a potential trial of platform marketing, right? Platform is where you hire us and we just set up all your ads for you. We build all your lead generation campaigns. We edit all of your videos. We build the Facebook ads. We send out the follow-up emails and text messages to the leads, right? We do all that for you, right? So if you want to sign up for a trial month where we just set up all these ads for you, go to platformmarketmap.com. But here's the catch, because there is a catch. Here's the catch. We only work with one agent per city. And so if you go to platformmarketmap.com, you'll notice that, hey, all we're going to ask you is where you live, right? We're not asking you for your phone number. We're not asking you for your credit card number or anything like that, right? It's very simple. All we're asking is, hey, where do you live? And the reason we ask that is we need to make sure we don't already have a realtor working with Platform in your market, because we're very, very exclusive. We don't just work with one agent per zip code. We only work with one agent per city.
Hey, I just want to give a real quick update on how my platform business has been over the last 2 weeks. I've actually been able to get 4 of my platform clients under contract, ready to close within the next 30 to 45 days. In the pipeline, I have well over $2.5 million in volume that hopefully will be closing within the next 60 days. This is definitely the best decision that I've ever made in my real estate business. Thanks so much, Platform.
And so again, the catch here is that Platform only works with one agent per city. Okay, so it's not just per zip code, it's per city. And so this is Jose. Jose is in the Colorado Springs area of Colorado, right? Jose doesn't just get one zip code or one neighborhood of Colorado Springs. He gets the entire greater Colorado Springs area, right? So the whole town belongs to him, right? And he quadrupled his GCI, by the way. And so that's why Platform works so much better than other marketing systems out there, you know, like Boomtown, Sync, there's Curator, YLocal, you know, all these other companies, right? The problem is they work with dozens of people per city, right? So if you're not in Colorado Springs, let's say you're in Charleston, South Carolina, or Fort Myers, Florida, right, or Nashville or something, right? If you're in any of those cities, there's probably dozens of people that are using Commissions Inc. or Curator or Boomtown in your area, right? So it's not exclusive, right? They're all running the same ads that you are. It's very, very difficult to grow your business if all of your competition is running the same marketing that you are, right? And so Platform is different. Platform only works with one agent per market. We give you exclusive territorial rights to your entire city, right? So here's another example of someone who didn't just double, actually even triple his business. Jose actually quadrupled his GCI with Platform. So as I show you this video, if you want to get set up on the trial month, right, it'll only take you 10 seconds. You don't have to fill out some big fancy application or form. You don't have to give us your credit card. You don't even have to schedule a sales call. You don't have to do any of that. We're trying to make it as easy as possible. It will only take 10 seconds to get set up. Just tell us where you live. That's it. So if you live in San Antonio, put San Antonio, Texas, right? If you live in Nashville, put Nashville, Tennessee, right? If you live in Fargo, put Fargo, North Dakota. That's it, right? It only takes 10 seconds. So to get set up on your trial month, go to www.platformmarketmap.com.
Hey guys, if you're still skeptical about high-hanging fruit, let's just break down the numbers real quick. In 2013, I did 25 deals. I then implemented high-hanging fruit platforms so that you know. In 2014, I went from 25 to 50 deals. In 2015, I went from 50 deals to 70 deals, baby. And now in 2016, I'm making over 100 transactions so that you know. And now that I have my team in place in 2016, just imagine what I'm going to do in 2017. Make it a phenomenal day.
So what's cool is that Jose actually, you know, when he quadrupled, he was doing over 100 transactions. He doesn't have a big team. So I want to be really, really clear on that. He did all that business, over 100 transactions, with a buyer's agent and a full-time assistant, right? So it's not like he did 100 transactions, but you know, that was spread out amongst a dozen agents or over 20 agents, right? It's basically just him, right? So if you want to use the same marketing system that Jose used and is using, go to www.platformmarketmap.com and we'll get you set up on a trial month where we will set up all the lead gen campaigns. We will do all the marketing for you. When you join the platform family, all you have to do is follow up with warm leads and you'll grow your business. That's all you have to do. We handle everything else. All you have to do is follow up with the warm leads. And by the way, as I show you this video, one more cool thing, we don't have any contracts. And so you're not locked into anything. If you want to give platform marketing a try, realize that there's no risk because we don't have any contracts. You're not locked into a 12-month contract or a 6-month contract or anything like that. So if you want to start getting 200 leads a month consistently and you want to join the platform family, you can do so on a trial month right now that I'm offering on this webinar, just as an additional way to say thank you for joining us on the webinar. We can get you set up on a trial month. And there's no risk because there's no contracts, right? We don't have a 12-month contract. We don't have a 6-month contract. We don't even have a 90-day contract. It's totally month to month. So no contracts, no risk.
Danny, I am a realtor in Texas. If you're watching this, it's probably because you're interested in the platform trial month. I have to tell you, you would be crazy not to take them up on that. When I started with Platform about 18 months ago, I didn't get a trial or any kind of discount, but it has hands down been the best investment I ever made in my business. When I first started with them, I was doing about probably 100,000 in income, so about $4 million in GCI, or excuse me, in production. Now, today, after being there a little over a year and a half, I have doubled, almost quadrupled that, and we'll do about 275 in GCI this year. I actually hired my first buyer's agent. I also have a part-time administrative person. So it's just.
So I don't know if you caught that, but she actually almost tripled her GCI when she joined the platform. She went from about $100,000 a year in GCI to nearly $300,000 a year in GCI. That's amazing.
I actually hired my first buyer's agent. I also have a part-time administrative person. So it's just been a really good decision, and to be able to try it out for a discounted price is awesome. And I wish I would have gotten to do that. But, you know, I still made an incredible return on that investment. So definitely would highly recommend it.
And so, again, that's Danny Steese. She's in Austin, Texas, right? She grew her business from $100,000 in GCI to about $275,000 in GCI. And so I know you're probably wondering, okay, what exactly is Platform? What do you do? Well, what we do at Platform is we basically just take over all your marketing. We build your lead generation campaigns. We build your Facebook ads. We split test everything. We build all the landing pages. So, for example, on that ad that I mentioned is one of my favorite, like the Pool Homes Report or the Acreage Homes Report, we build the websites for those ads. We build all the landing pages. We custom do it all for you. We even set up email follow-ups to the leads and the text message follow-ups to those leads, because what we know is that text message actually works about 90% better than email follow-up. That's where you convert a lot of the leads. We do all that for you. We will even buy a cell phone number with a local area code in your market so that when you're texting the leads automated, it's coming from a local phone number, right? And so we do all these things for you behind the scenes so that we even edit all your videos for you. So if you film a listing video or a market update video once a month, we do all the video editing for you. We put it up on YouTube. It's like having a personal marketing department, right? We do all that for you. So it's not really about what we do for you, but it's about what you have to do. So because we're doing all that, all you have to do is follow up with the warm leads coming in. That's all you have to do. That is how we've doubled and tripled the GCI of agents all across the country, because now they can stop worrying about their marketing and lead generation. We do all it for them. All they have to do is follow up with warm leads. Here's another example.
Hi, this is Crystal Boggs. This is my first week with Platform. I started Tuesday about 4 p.m. By Wednesday, I had 3 buyers pre-approved. By Sunday, 1 was in negotiations, 1 under contract, and 1 still viewing homes. It was an amazing week. Thank you, Platform.
So all of that happened in her very first trial month, right? It didn't take her 6 months to get those results. That's how quickly Platform starts working, right? Here's another example. This is Rob Warwick. He's in the Wilmington, North Carolina area. And in his first 6 months with Platform, he actually did the math and he kind of looked back at how his year had gone. And Platform added an extra $100,000 to his GCI, and he only did it for 6 months. So in the first 6 months, he could track an additional $100,000 in GCI just to the Platform leads that came in. So if you want to use the same marketing system that Rob is using to grow your business, we're going to give you a trial month. So to get signed up on the trial month, just go to www.platformmarketmap.com. You don't have to fill out any sort of application. You don't have to schedule a sales call. You don't have to give your credit card number or anything like that. It just takes 10 seconds to get set up. Just go to www.platformmarketmap.com to get set up on a trial month of the same marketing system that Rob here is using.
I want to talk really quickly about my experience with Platform. Been with them for about 6 months. We've added about $100,000 to my GCI. Plenty of leads for next year, and really, really powerful stuff as far as what Tim's able to do. And if you're on the fence about the marketing, quit questioning it. It's well worth it. Team and Tim are great to work with, so I have no complaints, and we're looking for a better 2018, even though this year's already been a really, really productive half a year, really, with Platform and the whole company.
Again, it's really the numbers that are the proof of the results, right? In just 6 months, he added an extra $100,000 to his take-home pay because of Platform. They could directly track to Platform, right? So if you want more information, check out platformmarketmap.com. That's where you can get set up on a trial month of Platform. Here's an example of a 25-year-old kid who also added $100,000 to his business. He's just 25 years old.
Hey Brandon, this is Taylor. I'm a real estate agent down here in Tampa. 25 years old. Before I started joining with Platform, I made just under 40 grand. I'm around 35. Last year in 2017, I closed over 7 million, made over 150 grand. And next year it's the $250,000 mark. I need to hit over 250. I definitely think that's Platform.
Again, he added over 100K and he's only 25 years old. So here's a quick video, by the way, that we put together that just shows you kind of the difference of how Platform is different from other marketing companies you probably heard of, Zillow, Boomtown, Commissions Inc., Curator, all that, right? Again, if you want to get set up on a trial month, check out www.platformmarketmap.com.
Here's 4 things you need to know before hiring a marketing company. First, make sure that your marketing company isn't working for your competition. Many companies like Zillow, Curator, and Boomtown are simultaneously working with dozens of agents in the same market. This helps them make more money, but it's not what's in your best interest. Second, make sure your marketing company is actually generating leads for you. Many companies are really just website companies. To succeed in a world of social media, you need more than a website. You need actual leads. Third, make sure you set aside time to call your leads as soon as you can. A Harvard study showed that if you call a lead as soon as they come in, they are 7 times more likely to qualify than even waiting 1 hour. Fourth, If you can't call your leads right away, make sure that your marketing sends a text message to the leads. Maybe you're on a listing appointment and you can't call a new lead that comes in. Text messages have a 98% open rate, yet most agents aren't texting their damn leads. The perfect marketing company would help you generate leads, convert leads, and it would be exclusive. What if a marketing company did all of the above and it only partnered with one real estate agent per city? Sounds crazy, right? For more information, check out platformrealestate.com.
Again, to see if your market is still available or if we already have an agent that we're working with in your city, go to platformmarketmap.com, right? I really, really want to be clear on that because we actually only work with one agent per city, right? It's not per zip code. You get the entire city, right? So if you're in Fargo, you don't just get one area of Fargo, North Dakota. You don't just get one zip code. You get the entire Fargo area plus 10 miles around Fargo. Like you own that area, right? So we're totally exclusive. Platform, unlike these other large companies, Platform doesn't have thousands and thousands of agents, right? Right now, we only have about 100 real estate agents that we're working with around the country. So it's a very, very exclusive club of agents who own their own city, right? They get exclusive rights to their entire city, not just one zip code, but the entire city, which means that you will be the only realtor running these style ads in your entire market because we only work with you, right? So that's a huge reason why this works so well is you don't have competition because we only work with one agent per market. So to get started, go to platformmarketmap.com and we'll get you set up on a trial month. Here's another example of someone. These are the results that she got in her very first trial month. So it's not like it takes 6 months to get going, or it doesn't take 90 days to get going. All these results happened in Michelle's very first trial month because she watched the same webinar that you're on right now.
Hi, this is Michelle Jones from Tennessee. I joined the platform webinar. I signed up, and my results for the first 10 days are that the 2 new listings ads that I ran with platform, I got both under contract in the same day. I also have 5 active buyers that I'm currently working with now, and I also have obtained 3 new listings.
So the reason I had her film that video is it almost sounds too good to be true, right? She got 3 new listings and 5 new active buyers, and all that happened in her very first trial month of platform, right? If I didn't have that on video, you probably wouldn't even believe me. So all that happened in her very first trial month. If you want to get set up on a trial month, go to platformmarketmap.com. We'll get you set up on a trial month. You can use the same marketing system that Michelle's using. So this was one of my favorite videos I'll show you. This is an example of someone who grew their business by about $200,000 in GCI. So Platform directly added an additional $200K in GCI, but she's actually working less now than she was before. And so notice that there's a yellow ball in the background of this video. It's because her kid threw it at her right when she's about to start filming this video because she gets to spend more time at home with her kids now, right? So this is Danny. Her business grew by about $200K in GCI. And it grew so much that her husband, Travis, actually quit his engineering job and joined her real estate team because their family was making so much more money now that he could afford to walk away from his lucrative career as an engineer, right? So this is a really awesome story because, you know, of course, not only are they making more money now, but she's actually spending more time with her family, not less. And it's because of the quality of the leads coming in. So this is Danny's story. Again, if you want to use the same marketing system that Danny is using, you know, to grow her business by $200,000 in GCI and actually work less, if you want to use that same marketing system, we'll get you set up on a trial month at platformmarketmap.com.
Hi, I'm Danny Springfield in San Antonio. My platform story starts, I've been in business and real estate for about 5 years. When I signed up, I was plateauing at about 13 to 15 million a year. I had another agent on board with me, but I knew that we could get a little bigger and do a little better. Most importantly, I wanted to do that in a scaled fashion. So signing up with Platform enabled me to build my business to about $20 million a year, but where I'm spending more time, I have 3 little kids, where I'm spending more time with them. My husband actually left his engineering job to join my team, and that has been such a godsend for our family. Our quality of life has increased dramatically, and we owe a lot of that to Platform. The biggest change has been the quality of leads, so you're not spending
all your time chasing ones that aren't very good. And maybe even most importantly for me has been that platform, it gets me in front of my sphere for referral business so easily with very little effort on my part. So I'm a happy client. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. And I'm really just thankful to be part of the platform family. Thanks.
Again, if you want the same marketing system that Danny has used, again, she grew her business by about $200,000 GCI directly from platform. If you want to use that same marketing system, we'll get you set up on a trial month. Go to www.platformmarketmap.com, right? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip forward to the very end because there's one last video I want to show you this morning. One last video that I think really, really shows how powerful this platform marketing strategy really is. And so I'm going to skip through a lot of these, but these are some amazing, videos that you'll miss, unfortunately. But this is Justin. Justin Rulers in West Virginia. His business has totally blown up. He's actually I think he's tripled his business from when he started Platform. This is an agent in Louisiana that's generated a ton of leads and grown her business. This is Micah. Micah is an agent in Hawaii that's really, really, really grown his business. And so I'll skip here again. This is Justin. He's in College Station. He's really grown his business. He's actually more than doubled his GCI. Rodney, he's in Wichita. Amy, she's in Pensacola, Florida. So it's working all over the country, right? It's not just one area. It works in big cities, small towns, farm towns, suburbs, everything in between, right? And so I'm going to skip ahead and show you this video here at the end. This is Debbie Kaler. And the cool thing about Debbie Kaler's story is that she was basically broke when she signed up for Platform. When she first got started with Platform, she was broke. She had like no money. It was right after the last housing recession, the housing crash. And so her business kind of just like disappeared from under her. And so she has kind of a classic American rags to riches story with Platform. I know it sounds super cliche. It sounds really cheesy, but it's true. And her business turned around so quickly when she hired Platform to manage her marketing for her, that the before and after of like how much money she was making after Platform compared to before was so kind of like unbelievable. It was like too good to be true that we decided to actually hire a documentary film crew, and we flew them out there to interview her and create a documentary about Debbie's before and after story, kind of her rags to riches story, because I knew if I just told you the numbers, you probably wouldn't believe me. Like the numbers are so crazy that you probably wouldn't believe me. So we had to get it on video, that we sent a film crew out there to have her tell her story in her own words. And so just to give you an idea of how bad things were, she was about to lose her house to the bank when she signed up for Platform. The very first video ad that we ran on Facebook was actually an ad promoting her own house for sale, because she was selling it because she was behind on the mortgage payments and she couldn't afford to live there anymore. She was afraid she was about to lose the house to foreclosure, like the bank was going to take it. And so that's how bad things were for Debbie. Like I can't really overestimate or overstate like how bad things were. But now she's the top agent in her market. She's actually the top agent for her brokerage in the entire state of Minnesota, right? So she went from being bottom of the barrel, broke, to being the top agent in her brokerage in the entire state. Since then, she's just crushing it. I mean, she bought a brand new Jeep. She bought a brand new lake home in her community, like a $500,000 lake house. Debbie is one of the most inspiring success stories ever of someone who's implemented this high-hanging fruit, this platform system. And so I'll let Debbie tell her story in her own words, but just realize that if you want to have the same marketing system for you in your market that Debbie has in her market that created these results, if you want to like steal Debbie's marketing system, you can. Just go to www.platformmarketmap.com and we'll implement the same marketing system that we did for Debbie. We'll do it for you too. And we'll get you set up on a trial month too. So platformmarketmap.com.
Okay, so I love this car. I've always wanted a Jeep Rubicon, always. Never thought I'd be able to get one, especially that I could just write out a check for, actually. But I was in Platform for about 6 months when my other car actually blew up, and I just kind of thought, what am I doing? I can afford what I want. So drove onto the lot, with that wreck and drove off with this Rubicon with only 6 miles on it, which was a fantastic day.
And so I want you to meet Debbie Kaler. The platform strategy literally rescued her career. After the housing market crashed, she was struggling to make a living. Now she's driving a brand new car, bought a new lake home, and business is better than ever. Her story is just incredible. So I'll let her share the details. This is the power of the platform strategy.
Hi, I'm Debbie Kaler. I'm a realtor in a very small town in west central Minnesota. Population just a little over 2,000. So it's a tough market. We have a lot of agents around here. In fact, I would say we are saturated because everybody, for some reason, thinks that real estate is the fast, easy money, easiest thing you can get into. So I got into real estate in 1990 and always did pretty well, probably in the top 10, 15. And then the market crashed. And being a single person, that was tough. I ended up losing my house, my car, pawned all my jewelry. I literally had nothing left other than the clothes on my back.
So, as I said, Debbie's story is one of the coolest platform stories I've ever heard. After 20 years in the business, things were so slow, she was about to quit real estate entirely and find a new career. She was applying for jobs around the country, just trying to find something to pay the bills. And then she discovered platform.
So thinking, this is it, I have to get out of real estate permanently, even though I loved it. They found out my story and they said, you know, we have this young guy that does marketing for us, you should give him a try. So I was desperate and I decided, all right, I'm going to meet him. It turns out his name is Tim Schermack. And he came over and talked to me and started telling me about platform, and I thought, this is entirely too good to be true. There's no way anything is that good that's going to take me from about being homeless, literally homeless, to actually being able to stay in this business and make it. But humor me, I'll listen to him. So I meet him. He gave me the good sales pitch. Out of frustration, I hired him. And only because that day in the mail, the very last check had come from my retirement account. Very last check. And I knew it wasn't going to carry me through anyway, so what's the big deal? I might as well gamble. I threw it at him and said, all right, big talker, you think you can do this? Do it. I bet it was 3 weeks later, leads started coming like crazy, and they started rolling in. I'm not kidding. And pretty soon I didn't have time for that other job I took. I was back into real estate. And here we are 2.5 years later. And I went from number 47 in my association up to number 2.
So Debbie went from having no money, literally losing her home, to being the number 2 agent in her entire association. I love this story. It's such an authentic example of the power of platform. The entire community noticed how quickly Debbie built her brand. Remember, building your business is as simple as building a list of people who trust you. Not just a database, but a list of people who trust you.
So one of the fun things with platform was I had so many friends say, you know, when the market crashed, we thought you were done. That was it. We thought your business was going under, that you were done, no more Debbie. And it's like you came back with a vengeance. All of a sudden we see videos all over the place and your signs are going up all over the place. And now you're really showing other people how it's done. I actually had a couple of my competing agencies come and try to recruit me with their company, to which it's like, no, I turn them down. I mean, they're like, don't you want to work for, and then they'd say their name because they're bigger names in the area. I don't have a big name. You know, Lakes Area Realty, Debbie Kaler Real Estate, and I don't have the big banners, the big balloons, anything like that. And it's like, you know what? I don't need you. I'm doing fine on my own. They didn't like that very well, but I've pretty much buried most of them, which is a great feeling. And it's all because of platform. I went from, said, bottom of the barrel, thinking that I was going under, to a place I never thought I would be. And it's because of the marketing. And that happened rather quickly. Actually, I would say within 3 months, people started to make comments about, wow, you came back strong. And by 6 months, it was, wow.
Amazing. So let's take a behind-the-scenes look at Debbie's office and get a feel for what her daily routine looks like when the leads are flowing in.
So I just want to give you a behind the scenes look at what Platform has done for me. Just in this last week, I've gotten 3 pages of leads. The ones that are crossed off are the ones that I've actually come in contact with, I've had phone conversations with, or even met them for coffee. I've got 2 listing appointments out of it so far, and for sure 1 buyer, probably 2, maybe even 3. So it's been great that way. It keeps me busy. It keeps me in contact with people. But I really want to show you personally what it's done for me. So my dream car was always a Jeep Rubicon. And after working with Platform for, I don't know, about 6 months, I was finally able to get one. Brand new, right off the lot. And it only had 6 miles on it. So it was glorious. Working with Platform and really working the program, if you work it, it works. So if you've been in it and say that it doesn't work, it's only because you're not doing anything with it. I have proof, because what I'm going to show you is the property I was able to buy, and it may not be huge, but it is on a premier lake. It's on Green Lake, which used to be the 2nd purest lake in the world. It's completely renovated. I can't wait to show it to you. So, you know, we're going to go there right now and take a look.
You know, I'm reminded of that classic quote from Zig Ziglar. You can have whatever you want in life if you'll just help other people get what they want. This is the very essence of the Platform strategy. Just serve people. Before you ever ask for anything, provide value. Be the most helpful real estate agent in your market. As you'll see, it worked for Debbie, and it can work for you too.
I paid plenty for it just because it is where it is. But it is a Frank Lloyd Wright house, which does mean something, so I wanted to keep his design. And that's another reason I renovated what was there instead of tearing it down. It is a $500,000 house in a community where everything, the average price is $150,000. So it's an accomplishment. I never thought I would be able to do that. So we're almost at my humble cottage. So not only was I able to buy this new car, but Platform also allowed me to buy my new lake home.
And so this is actually really cool, because Debbie is going to actually walk you into her lake home, show you all the renovations she did. You know, she totally did a gut job on the kitchen, put brand new countertops in, cabinets, brand new flooring, and then the view of the lake. I mean, it's epic. And keep in mind, just basically a year before that, she was broke and was losing her house to the bank because she was behind on mortgage payments. So this is the difference that Platform made for her in that year.
So this is the lake home that I bought, and I was able to renovate the whole thing. What we're standing in was actually just a screen porch. Going into the kitchen, I was able to put in all new countertops, new flooring, all new appliances, took out some walls, added some windows, opened up the living room. This was a couple tiny rooms before. But what I love about this place is this epic view of Green Lake, and thanks to Platform, I get to enjoy it every day.
And so if you want to get set up with the same, again, the exact same marketing system that we implemented for Debbie, if you want that marketing system, we can set it up for you too. And because you joined us on this webinar, we're going to offer you a trial month of Platform. So if you want to get set up on the trial month, just check out www.platformmarketmap.com. Okay, so if you want to get set up on that trial month, check out www.platformmarketmap.com. All right, we will set up all your ad campaigns for you. We will build lead generation campaigns for you. We set up retargeting ads for you. We even edit all of your videos. It's like a marketing all-you-can-eat buffet, right? So if you film like a listing video tour of one of your listings, or if you film a general market update video, or maybe you want to film a video about the top 5 neighborhoods in your town, right? Or here's 3 tips you need to know before listing your house, right? We will edit all of your videos for you. We have a professional team of video editors that can add graphics and fancy animations and stuff to all your videos. You get all that included with Platform. So not only are we going to set up Facebook ads for you, we're going to do all that other stuff too. We really do honestly become your personal marketing department. And the best part is that we only work with one agent per city. And so, for example, if you're in San Antonio, you know, like Danny Springfield is, like, she's the only agent in San Antonio that works with us, right? So unfortunately, if you're in San Antonio, you can't sign up because we already have a realtor there, right? We're already working with Danny, and she's very, very, very happy. So just go to platformmarketmap.com, and that'll tell you if your market is still available, right? Because we only work with one agent per city. So if your market is available, we're super happy to get you set up right away on that trial month where you'll get hundreds of leads in your very first trial month, right? So to get set up, go to www.platformmarketmap.com, right? I will have Mitch shoot all you guys an email with a checklist of everything the platform does for you, because I know that there are a lot of people that are wondering, like, okay, but what specifically does Platform do for me? You know, can you send me any more information, right? I'll have Mitch send you an email, like a checklist of just every single thing that Platform does for you. All right. I do notice that there's still over a dozen people on the webinar, but there's over a dozen people on here right now that still haven't signed up, right? So if you're still watching, like, what are you doing? Like, what's up? Like, go to www.platformmarketmap.com and get set up for your trial month, right? All we're asking you is, where do you live, right? So if you're in Wichita, say, hey, I'm in Wichita, Kansas. If you're in Madison, Wisconsin, say, hey, I'm in Madison, Wisconsin. That's all you have to do. If you go there, we're not going to ask you for your credit card number, or you don't have to schedule a sales call or anything like that. There's not some big form or application. That's all. That's it. We're just asking you, where do you live, so we can verify that your market is still available. That's it. So I know there's over a dozen people on here. Like, what are you waiting for? That's it, right? Just go to www.platformmarketmap.com to see if your market is still available, or if we already have a realtor there. And if it's available, good news, we'll get you set up on the trial month. And in that trial month, you'll get hundreds of leads, right? So thank you for joining us. Again, if you're still on here, I don't know what you're waiting for at this point. Just go to www.platformmarketmap.com. We'll get you set up. You can join the Platform family, and we can double, maybe even triple your GCI too. Thanks, guys. Platformmarketmap.com. I'll have Mitch shoot you an email with more information about the Platform marketing system.